My wife manipulated my daughter to give false testimony in court, but after 5 years everything came to light. My name is Leonard Leo Whitaker, and I'm 45 years old. 5 years ago, my marriage to Elaine ended in a bitter divorce. Elaine, now 43, was granted primary custody of our 3 children, our eldest, 15-year-old Olivia, and our younger 2, Nathan, who was 8, and Lily, who was 6 at the time. The divorce proceedings were complicated, not least because Elaine had been unfaithful during our marriage. I discovered her affair with my former best friend, Gregory, through evidence I found on our shared laptop. Despite this, the court awarded her primary custody, a decision that I believe was influenced by Olivia's testimony. Olivia, who had always been close to her mother, testified that I had anger management issues and that it would be in the best interest of the children if I had limited access to them. These claims were unfounded, but coming from my own daughter, they carried significant weight in court. As a result, I was initially granted only supervised visitation rights and was required to attend counseling sessions. Those supervised visits were some of the most humiliating experiences of my life. Interacting with my own children under the watchful eye of a court-appointed supervisor made me feel like a criminal. During these visits, I primarily saw Nathan and Lily, who were visibly upset by my absence and eager to spend time with me. Olivia, however, avoided these visits entirely. Now, 5 years later, Olivia is 20 and attending university. Recently, Nathan and Lily, now 13 and 11 respectively, have mentioned that Olivia and Elaine have been arguing frequently during Olivia's visits home. They've described Olivia as appearing unusually stressed and often retreating to her room after these arguments. Last weekend, I went to Elaine and Gregory's house to pick up Nathan and Lily for our usual weekend together. To my surprise, Olivia came out with them. She approached my car and told me she needed to talk to me about something important. Her demeanor was serious, and I could tell she was nervous. I was taken aback by this sudden change in behavior. For 5 years, Olivia had avoided me entirely, even retreating to her room when I arrived to pick up her siblings. I brushed her off, telling her I had no interest in talking to her. The pain of her false testimony was still fresh, and I couldn't simply move past it. After that encounter, Olivia began calling me repeatedly, something she had never done in all these years. She started sending text messages saying she urgently needed to speak with me about an important matter. 2 days ago, I finally agreed to meet her at my house, mainly out of curiosity about what could possibly be so urgent after years of silence. Indeed. She arrived that evening, and as soon as she stepped inside, she began apologizing profusely. She told me she had misunderstood me completely and had made the worst mistake of her life by testifying against me in court. She seemed genuinely remorseful, which took me by surprise. Confused by this sudden change of heart, I asked her to explain what had led to her testimony in the first place and what had changed her perspective so dramatically. Olivia revealed that Elaine had manipulated her into believing I was the villain of our family story. Elaine convinced her that I had forced her to abandon her career aspirations and that I only cared about her when she was pregnant with my children. These were complete fabrications, but Olivia believed them because they came from her mother, whom she had always trusted. Recently, Olivia reconnected with her maternal grandparents after her grandmother had a health scare. They revealed the truth about Elaine's manipulations and encouraged Olivia to talk to me directly. This revelation led to the arguments between Olivia and Elaine and ultimately prompted Olivia to reach out to me. Olivia expressed a desire to make amends and even mentioned the possibility of taking legal action against Elaine for the damage caused to our relationship. I told her I had no interest in pursuing any more legal battles. I had endured enough legal drama to last a lifetime. However, I considered asking Elaine to modify our custody arrangement so Nathan and Lily could spend more time with me. Despite Olivia's insistence on seeking justice, I told her to stop interfering in matters that weren't her concern anymore. She is 20 years old now, and there's no custody arrangement preventing her from spending time with me and making amends for her past actions. As for her siblings, I would handle that situation myself through appropriate channels. Olivia appeared shocked by my harsh tone and left without saying much. She hasn't contacted me since that confrontation. Now, I'm left wondering if I was too severe with her and if my lingering resentment caused me to reject a genuine attempt at reconciliation too harshly. After reflecting on my conversation with Olivia, I found myself caught in a whirlpool of emotions. I couldn't deny the sincerity in her eyes when she spoke. I had waited 5 years for some form of acknowledgement that I wasn't the person Elaine had portrayed me to be. And now, when it finally arrived, I rejected it outright. I was conflicted, not because I doubted her apology, but because the wound she left behind had never fully closed. A few days passed. I couldn't stop thinking about her. I called my former in-laws, Everett and Marla, Elaine's parents, who had kept a respectful distance since the divorce. We had occasional contact, mostly in the form of birthday cards for the children or quick exchanges during pickups and drop-offs. They were cordial but cautious. Still, I needed answers. To my surprise, they were eager to speak. They confirmed they had been encouraging Olivia to talk to me ever since her grandmother's hospitalization. They hadn't told me earlier because they didn't want to give me false hope. When they saw how shaken Olivia was after reconnecting with them, they decided the truth needed to come out. I thanked them sincerely. Their quiet loyalty, despite the circumstances, had not gone unnoticed. Marla shared that both she and Everett had testified on my behalf during the custody hearings, something I remembered well. It had strained their relationship with Elaine, but they did it because they believed in what was right. That conversation stirred something in me. I realized that maybe Olivia deserved another chance. I wasn't the same person I was 5 years ago, and maybe she wasn't either. I called her and told her I was willing to talk again, no promises, no guarantees, but I was open to listening. She had already returned to her university out of state, but we arranged a video call for the evening. When the call connected, we sat in silence for a moment, unsure how to begin. But eventually, we found our rhythm. I told her plainly, I was deeply disappointed that for 5 years, she never questioned what she'd been told. Never gave me a chance to speak. Never asked my side of the story. She acknowledged all of it, without excuses, without deflection. She said she had trusted her mother blindly, convinced that Elaine would never lie to her about something so serious. She admitted it was easier to believe the version of the story where one parent was clearly wrong. It simplified the chaos of the divorce, gave her someone to blame. Now, she realized the truth was far more complicated. She apologized again, this time with more composure and more depth. She said she couldn't undo what she had done, but she wanted to try to make things right. She didn't expect me to forget or even to forgive immediately. She just asked for a chance to rebuild, on my terms. Her words moved me. And while a part of me remained guarded, another part, the father in me, wanted to believe she was sincere. I told her I needed time, and she understood. Before ending the call, she added that if I ever decided to pursue changes in the custody arrangement for Nathan and Lily, she was willing to testify on my behalf. I hadn't told her about my plan to speak with Elaine. But with that in mind, I felt more determined than ever. The next day, I called Elaine. I asked her to meet so we could discuss modifying our custody arrangement. Unsurprisingly, she claimed she was busy and that it wasn't a good time. It was always the same excuse. Every year I had tried, and every year she dodged the issue. But this time, I wasn't taking no for an answer. I told her calmly, but firmly, that Olivia had spoken to me. That I knew what she had done during the divorce. That Olivia was ready to speak out if necessary. I also told her I would be seeking a complete stop to the child support payments, given that Nathan and Lily were spending more time with me already. I knew she and Gregory had launched a small business together recently. They weren't struggling anymore, and certainly didn't need the extra money. I also demanded repayment of the support she had collected under false pretenses, with the understanding that if she cooperated peacefully, I wouldn't take the matter to court. There was a long silence on the other end of the line. Then she said she'd think about it. She called back the following day, trying to sound indifferent, but I could tell she was nervous. She asked if we could keep the lawyers out of it. I agreed, but only if she complied immediately, starting with a formal agreement to update the custody schedule and reduce support payments. She tried to delay, saying they were waiting for the business to become profitable. I didn't budge. I reminded her she had collected money based on a lie and that I had every right to pursue legal action. I wasn't doing this to be cruel. I simply wanted what was right. That conversation ended without a firm resolution, but I felt the balance of power had shifted. I also had a long conversation with Olivia again that night. I needed to know she understood what might happen next. I told her if Elaine resisted, we might end up in court again, and she'd have to testify, this time contradicting her original statements. I didn't want her walking into that lightly. She said she was fully prepared. She'd thought about the consequences, both emotionally and legally, but felt it was necessary. She admitted that at 15, she had known I wasn't the monster she described in court. But she convinced herself otherwise to justify her loyalty to her mother. Now, she wanted to make things right even if it came at a cost. Her honesty struck a chord with me. For the first time in years, I felt a sense of closure begin to form. Not entirely, but enough to consider that healing might be possible. By the end of that week, I had made my decision. Elaine's evasiveness was nothing new, but I no longer had the patience or the need to accept it. I had spent half a decade being painted as unstable and unfit, when all I had ever wanted was to be present in my children's lives. Now, with Olivia supporting the truth, I finally had the leverage to demand fairness. Before taking any further action, I consulted my attorney. Though I preferred to avoid court, I knew we needed a formal agreement to hold Elaine accountable. I explained the situation thoroughly: Olivia's reversal, the manipulated testimony, the financial deception. My attorney agreed that we had a strong case not only to revise custody but to potentially recoup some of the child support. Still, litigation is exhausting. It drains more than money, it eats at time, energy, and emotion. I decided to give Elaine one last chance to settle this amicably. I called her and laid everything out again. I reiterated that Olivia was prepared to testify. That she had admitted to giving false testimony under Elaine's direction. That the financial support Elaine had received from me, under the guise of caring for the children, could be contested if proven fraudulent. Elaine grew quiet. Then angry. She accused me of trying to rewrite history and of turning Olivia against her. I didn't argue. I simply stated the facts. For years, I had stayed silent to protect the children from further conflict. But now, I intended to pursue what I was owed, legally or otherwise. I gave her until the end of the week to respond. If she didn't agree to formalize our new arrangement, one that reflected the truth of our situation, I would initiate legal proceedings. She didn't respond for 3 days. Then, out of the blue, she called me during work hours. Her tone was different. Hushed. Less combative. She said she didn't want this to escalate. That it would be better for the kids if we settled it ourselves. I told her the only way that would happen was if she signed a legally binding agreement. She reluctantly agreed. The first condition was simple: an updated custody arrangement. Nathan and Lily would spend equal time with both of us, and Elaine would no longer interfere with their scheduling. Second, the child support payments would stop effective immediately. And third, she would begin repaying the money collected under the initial custody agreement. My accountant had tallied the total owed, factoring in visitation changes and support adjustments, and the number wasn't small. Elaine tried to protest again, citing Gregory's business expenses and their recent investments. I didn't budge. I wasn't asking for more than I was legally owed. She had accepted support under false claims, and now she would have to return it piece by piece. Eventually, she caved. We drew up the contract and sent it to her through my lawyer. She signed it. I didn't expect a formal apology, and I didn't get one. But that didn't matter. What mattered was that justice, however delayed, was finally unfolding. Olivia and I spoke again not long after that. I updated her on everything. She seemed relieved, even proud. I could see that she carried guilt, and though I didn't go out of my way to console her, I made it clear that I was open to a future where we could rebuild. I want to be part of their lives again, she said, referring to Nathan and Lily. If they'll have me. I told her it would take time. Trust isn't repaired overnight. But I also reminded her that forgiveness is possible, especially when it's accompanied by responsibility. Since our conversation, she's begun reaching out to her siblings more frequently. I've noticed a change in them, too. Nathan, especially, seems to understand that something significant has shifted. He no longer looks as confused when I speak about their mother in careful terms. Lily still asks cautious questions, her young mind trying to piece together a complex past. I answer what I can without burdening her with too much truth. One weekend, while the kids were with me, I found a drawing Lily had made of our family. All of us were there: me, her, Nathan, Olivia, even Elaine and Gregory. But what struck me most was the placement. I was in the center, holding hands with all 3 children. It may have been innocent, or maybe intentional. Either way, it brought tears to my eyes. There's no tidy resolution to this story. Life doesn't work that way. But for the first time in years, I feel the tide has turned. The control Elaine once had over the narrative, over the children, over me, is slipping away. Not because I sought revenge, but because the truth, slowly but surely, found its way to the surface. It's been over half a year since those events, and in that time, so much has changed. Peacefully, steadily, like the quiet return of spring after a long winter. The new custody arrangement has been in place for several months now. Nathan and Lily split their time evenly between my home and Elaine's. There are no more excuses, no more sudden illnesses or forgotten events. Just consistency and calm. Elaine, to her credit, has honored the agreement. She hasn't missed a repayment. Each month, a portion of what she owes comes back to me, not with a letter of apology or even acknowledgement, but with regularity. I haven't spoken to her directly in some time. Our interactions are limited to necessary communication about the children, and that's exactly how I prefer it. I never wanted revenge. What I wanted was accountability. And even in this imperfect way, I've received it. Olivia has kept her word as well. She's visited during her school breaks, spending time with Nathan and Lily and gradually rebuilding a bond with them. At first, there was hesitation, especially from Nathan. He remembered how she disappeared after the trial, how she refused to speak to me or attend visits. But Olivia didn't push. She respected their pace, answered their questions honestly, and never tried to downplay what she had done. One night after dinner, Nathan asked her, "Why did you say all those things about Dad?" She paused, tears brimming in her eyes. "Because I believed Mom when I shouldn't have," she said. "And I thought I was protecting you when I was actually just hurting all of us." That kind of honesty doesn't undo the past, but it lays a foundation for the future. As for Olivia and me, our relationship is still in a fragile place. But it exists again. And that, in itself, is a gift. We don't talk every day, and there are still moments when I withdraw, times when the memory of her on the witness stand clouds my judgment. But when that happens, she gives me space. And when I'm ready, we reconnect. She came to stay for a few days during her winter break. We cooked dinner together, watched old movies, even laughed. It wasn't perfect. There were pauses in the conversation, hesitations in her voice. But I saw something in her I hadn't seen in a long time: hope. And a fierce determination to be better. She told me she wants to start therapy on her own, not because I asked, but because she feels she needs to process everything that happened. I encouraged it. Healing is not a straight path, and I've had to accept that we're both walking it from different starting points. One evening, she handed me a letter. She said she'd written it months ago, right after our first call, but hadn't been brave enough to give it to me until now. It was handwritten, several pages long. She poured out everything: her guilt, her confusion, her memories, her regrets. It was raw and painful and beautiful. I keep it in my desk drawer. The best part of this journey, what I never expected, is how much stronger my bond has become with Nathan and Lily. Without the shadow of Elaine's influence distorting everything, they've been able to see me clearly. We've built routines, inside jokes, a shared rhythm of trust and comfort. They don't ask as often about why things were the way they were. They just focus on the present: bike rides, homework help, movie nights. I've learned to stop trying to fix everything overnight. Some damage will always linger. But I've also learned that presence, genuine, consistent presence, is the greatest tool for repair. Elaine and Gregory's business, from what I hear, is doing fine. I've stopped paying attention to their finances. That part of the story doesn't concern me anymore. I don't wish them harm. I just want space. And for the first time in years, I have it. There are days when I still feel bitter. Days when I think about what might have been if the truth had come out sooner. But those days are fewer now. They don't dominate me the way they used to. I've started journaling again, something I hadn't done since college. Writing helps me make sense of the mess, helps me shape a narrative that doesn't revolve around victimhood but rather growth. Recently, Nathan brought home a drawing for school. The assignment was to illustrate what family meant to him. In the picture, there was me, Olivia, Nathan, and Lily, all standing under a tree, smiling. Elaine wasn't in the drawing. I didn't ask why. Maybe it was a reflection of how he feels. Or maybe it was just a child's choice to simplify a complex world. Either way, it reminded me of something important: children know more than we think. They may not understand every detail, but they feel the truth in their hearts. This journey started with a lie in a courtroom. A lie that nearly destroyed me. But somehow, through time, pain, and persistence, we've reached something close to restoration. It's not perfect. But it's enough. Thank you for watching the video. Like it if you watched the video to the end, and don't forget to subscribe. Have a nice day.